everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Whistle. Today is Season 4, Episode 9, and we're going to be going over the NFL wildcard recap and our predictions for the National Championship. I'm Henry Lapin, joined by Jason Generalis, Rob Frangione, and Will Sexton, and it's going to be a great episode, so let's just jump right in. Jason, wildcard recap last night, or 2 nights ago, with the not-so-super wildcard weekend ending. A lot of blowouts, not a lot of great games. What were your main takeaways?
I think my main surprise was not the Rams beating the Vikings. However, the Texans beating the Chargers. I just think that, for me, I had the Chargers going and even have a possibility of beating the Chiefs if they got there. But the Texans, with a great defensive performance, Stingley had the 2 picks. They had like 4 turnovers in general, and they really just blew them out of the water. Just when you thought the Chargers were coming back on that long Ladd McConkey touchdown, it was just the blocked kick for the extra 2. Obviously, we did have that Rams-Vikings kind of blowout on Monday Night Football, and I thought it was more of a toss-up to begin with. I didn't think the Vikings deserved to be 14-3. I think they've gotten a little bit bailed at a couple of their games. So I wasn't too surprised to see them go first. Overall, I thought it was a good weekend. Ravens continuing to prove their dominance over the Steelers. Mike Tomlin's got to answer some questions about losing 6 straight playoff games, but that's all from me.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Vikings, and it's a tough pill to swallow for the Vikings fans. They're probably wishing it was cyanide, so they don't have to sit through this year after year. It's like watching an old pet die. There's nothing you can do about it besides just sit back and watch it. Minnesota fans, they had to sit through it with the Twins falling apart late season. Now it's the Vikings. Sam Darnold, he's done as a Vikings quarterback. I don't think there's any chance he comes back with J.J. McCarthy sitting in the wings. He'll be lucky if he gets even $40 million from the ghost that he was seeing when he was on the Jets. I don't know who's going to pay him big-time money.
Steelers need a quarterback.
But are they just going to keep going from mid
Steelers
to
need a
mid
new
to
team.
I mean, if we're looking at Mike Tomlin, who I was right about, then yeah, I'm assuming that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Rob, what'd you see?
Yeah, a whole lot of mid this weekend. I got to say, I think the Rams are actually going to be a legit, maybe not even Super Bowl contender, but I think that they've got a good shot at beating the Eagles. I know that the game they played in Week 13 wasn't, or whatever week it wasn't very close. Saquon had 300 yards. I think they've got a legit shot at making it to the NFC Championship game. But yeah, I, like you, Jason, was very surprised by the Chargers. I also thought they had a shot at beating the Chiefs, and everything fell through. Justin Herbert, who I'm going to talk about more later, looked terrible. I mean, I can't defend him anymore.
Yeah. Again, this Vikings-Rams game, multiple turnovers on Sam Darnold. He just didn't play well. I don't think the Vikings can. He played pretty well throughout the season, but that game just sealed the deal. I think J.J. McCarthy's gonna possibly start this year. We'll see how he plays. And then the Texans game, I feel like even though the Texans are having some troubles with their offensive injuries, the defense really rose above. So,
yeah, no one's talking about Buccaneers versus Commanders. That was a big game that I saw.
predicted it.
Talking about that later. But,
Mike Evans, he had 7 catches, 92 yards. He just came off that $3 million paycheck Week 18. Another big paycheck coming out of Fox Studios for $1.5 million. We can't really get too much more into that. But
I did have the Bucks. I was surprised in that game. I thought the Bucks. I heard
had
the
the Bucks,
Commanders were.
The joke that Henry just made went over all of your heads. But,
Wow.
I didn't hear what
that
it
was
said.
So player of the
Hold on,
week.
one second. Did you see that Mike Evans had Marshawn Lattimore crying on the sideline?
I did,
That
yeah.
was great. That was great. My dad and I were sitting there. I was like educating him on the entire Mike Evans Marshawn Lattimore beef, and we were paying attention, especially on that touchdown. That he
Yeah,
had.
it's sad we're not going to see that much anymore with them not being in the same division, but we'll see them probably at least once a year. Jason, you're going to start us off with our awards. Player of the week, who do you have?
So I'm going to have, like I said, I wasn't too surprised that the Rams were able to beat the Vikings, but I still have Matthew Stafford as my player of the week. I thought he played excellent. He had a 70% completion rate, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which was a 117.7 passer rating. I just think he facilitated the offense great. Puka Nacua had a couple of catches. Cooper Kupp played his general playoff 1 catch, I'm pretty sure he had. But Kyron also carried the workload. The defense played excellent. I think just all around the Rams are a really good team backed by Stafford. I think his performance now could prove that they could go far in this playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going with Ladd McConkey. Although he had a loss this week, he had 9 catches, almost 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. there are only 3 receivers in NFL history to have 197 or more receiving yards in a game, and only 6 in playoff history. So he is joining an elite group of guys. Even with Herbert's poor performance, he still went off. It's just one white receiver is not enough to carry your team to a playoff win, I guess. So unfortunately, the Chargers season ends there. But Ladd McConkey, great rookie season, and I think it's only uphill for him from here. Rob.
Well, I don't think you can go with a player who was on a losing team as your player of the week, which is why I'm going with the guy who basically ended Ladd McConkey's season, Derek Stingley Jr. He had 2 interceptions, one of them which he returned for, I believe, 54 yards. He had a forced fumble, which led to a turnover, I'm pretty sure. I think 4 tackles. Then he had 5 pass breakups. Just an incredible game from a newly elected all-pro cornerback, and who's really been overshadowed by Sauce Gardner's entire career. I think it's time to start having a conversation about him being one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the league. And, I mean, he just looked incredible. There was a lot of media attention that we were saying about, the Chargers is not looking great, but there's not been enough about the Texans' defense just generally being good, and I think that needs to be discussed more.
They have like 2 top 5 picks on defense, Will Anderson and Stingley. They're going to be really good.
They're going to be great. And Daniil Hunter as well.
Yeah.
He's been really
Stingley's
great.
by far a top 5 corner. I don't think there's any doubt that he's a top 5 corner in the league.
There was going into this year, I believe.
Going into this year, but now he solidified it. Sexton, who do you got?
Yeah.
Especially in All-Pro.
So coming back to that Commanders game, this is a little, I know everyone's got their obvious picks, but a little bit of a sleeper pick here. It's Bobby Wagner, defensive for the Commanders, recorded 8 tackles, a half a sack, and a crucial fumble recovery that honestly solidified the win against the Bucks. It was just, I don't think they could have done it without the fumble recovery by Bobby Wagner. I just don't think.
Is that the one that Baker fumbled the handoff?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a gift from the football gods. But hey, you know what? I got to say,
he jumped on that ball. It's great.
Good on us for having 2 defensive players in our player of the week. I feel like we're always stuck on offensive player there.
Yeah.
Like just offensive players. Now we got defense rotating in. We're doing good.
Yeah.
So, highs of the wild card to the guys who lost their teams the game. Jason, who is the worst player, the underachiever of the week?
I think if we don't see this guy's name around the table 4 times, then the people chose the wrong person. Yep. Justin Herbert is easily the underachiever of the week. 43% completion rate, less than 250 yards, 4 interceptions, more than he had the entire season, and a season low passing rating of 40.9. That is just some completely backup QB, third string QB stats. As a playoff quarterback, people that had hope in you, people labeling you maybe even a top 5 QB in the league.
I was one of those people.
You just silenced all of them. And not in the good way. You are now totally down the charts. You don't have what it takes. Going to become a new Lamar of the league. Let's see if you can break that narrative this year. But as of right now, we haven't seen anything out of Justin Herbert in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not going with a player. I'm going with Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 6 playoff games in a row. He joins only Jeff Fisher, Jason Garrett, and Marvin Lewis. Those are some of the worst coaches, I think, in the past decade of the sport. So the past 4 wildcard games, this is why it's on him. Outscored 63-0 in the first quarter. He's not doing enough to prepare them during the week, and they are coming out with a horrible game plan. And Steelers, year after year, they repeat failure. They won't ever be bad enough to get a quarterback. And I think Pittsburgh fans just are sick.
They might be in an even worse spot than Minnesota fans.
I think that the Steelers should move on from Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I've been saying this. I've been saying that he's not a good coach, or maybe not an elite coach, for years now. Everyone's called me crazy. I feel so good about myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Jason, everybody should be going with Justin Herbert, which is why I'm sticking on that train. I mean, you said it. Dude just looked awful. This was a game where he could have completely flipped the narrative about himself, especially in the postseason, coming into the season. 4 years, not one playoff win. He choked a 27-0 lead a couple of years ago to Jacksonville, and this was the game for him to really, rewrite that narrative. And everything went out. All he did was reinforce the backlash. And that is just not something he can be doing, especially as, the face of that franchise.
Yeah, my underachiever of the week is Jordan Love. You hate to see. I really love Jordan Love.
Just the NFC's Justin Herbert.
Yeah, he had
You're
3
a division rival, Jordan Love.
I know. I know. I don't like the rest of their team.
If you do the stuff I'd wish on Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels, and Jalen Hurts, it's a big difference in the
Can you
NFC
hate
East,
Jaden
I guess.
Daniels?
Well, maybe if the Lions had a losing record and we lost the Packers, I would hate his guts. But we are doing pretty well this year. But besides that, Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions, resulting in his low passer rating of the season. Maybe it's because they are losing. I think they lost. They have I can't speak. Their injuries, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, and Christian Watson that game, that's insane. How does that even happen?
Yeah. So now we're going to be looking ahead to the divisional games. 4 games left. We're each going to preview one. Jason, which one you previewing for us?
I'm getting the Lions and the Commanders. Now,
Someone's jealous over here.
I think this is the largest spread that there is. Washington is plus 9.5. I don't think Washington really has a shot of winning this game. I think Detroit is coming out too strong to lose in the first game in the playoffs they've played. They have a great roster. David Montgomery will be back. We'll see if he maybe got rushed back. Obviously, he had a tough injury towards the end of the season. Maybe he should take a week off. But Washington is a bottom 10 run defense in the league. They let up 135 rushing yards a game. They have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery that they're going against. Marshawn Lattimore looked absolutely poverty against Mike Evans yesterday. I think Amon-Ra is going to torch him. And I think I just don't think Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin have enough on the line secondary where they could come up with the points that they're going to be scored on. I just don't. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I don't think that Washington could put up with the Detroit offense.
I think the Commanders' defense, give them a few years, they're going to be great, but this year they haven't been great. They have not been good, just all across the board.
Yeah, so I think I'm talking about the best game for this weekend slate. Ravens at Buffalo, Sunday 6:30. It's prime time. Closest game. The line opened up at 1.5 and Buffalo's favored on Monday. Now it's moved to Ravens minus 1.5.
Wow.
So last time these teams met, it was Ravens 35-10 in November. Derrick Henry ran for almost 200 yards, and with the very weak and injury riddled Buffalo defense, I think he's primed for another great performance today. Zay Flowers still questionable. If he plays, he's going to be extremely limited. Rashad Bateman and the tight ends on this Ravens roster are going to have to step up. But Ravens defense heavily using zone defense. That is where Josh Allen struggles the most. They played 70% zone against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. And Josh Allen, since 2020, has a touchdown to interception ratio against zone defense of 27-29. So I don't think he's going to be able to get through his reads quick enough, especially with that Ravens pass rush getting to him. And I think Nate Wiggins and all these other secondary players for these Ravens are going to shut down Keon Coleman, whoever the hell the Bills have out there at receiver. So I think the Ravens are going to come through and win this one. I don't think it's going to be as close as people think. I think the spread is definitely going to get smashed. I think it's going to be a touchdown or one possession game. But Ravens, I think they're going to get rid of the narrative that they can't win in big games.
I agree. I know I'm a Patriots fan, but I think it's pretty easy to root for Josh Allen, especially in a year where you want the Chiefs to not three-peat. But, I mean, that rushing defense is just awful. And, I mean, you're going against the best rushing threat in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the entire league. Come on, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. So moving on for me, I've got the Chiefs versus the Texans. Week 16, these teams met. It was Chiefs won 27-19, I believe. Granted, that was the game that Tank Dell had that horrific knee injury, so who knows how that was, impacting them psychologically. But, I mean, I think you just can't bet against the Chiefs in the playoffs, especially, we're already into the divisional round. Mahomes, through either witchcraft or just pure skill, has been incredible throughout his career. The Texans, they've only got Nico Collins over at receiver. I think that, what's his name, dude from Washington? Trent McDuffie, yeah, that's the name. I don't know why I couldn't think of him. McDuffie, I think he's going to lock him down as much as I love Nico Collins. And the Chiefs are only getting healthier. Now they got Marquise Brown coming back, DeAndre Hopkins, Isaiah Pacheco, he's been back now, and he's had that extra rest. So yeah, I think that the Chiefs are going to have a field day with the Texans, unfortunately. And I'd love to be proven wrong, don't get me wrong, but I think that that's
Pacheco hasn't done much. I wouldn't count him as being back as super monumental.
I know, but you've had that week off. That's in some extra time.
Yeah.
Will wrap us up.
Yeah, moving on to Rams versus Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are set to host the Los Angeles Rams, the NFC Divisional round at Lincoln Financial Field. Week 12 encounter, the Eagles secured a 37-20 victory, highlighted by the Saquon Barkley's franchise record, 255 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, the Eagles' offensive line, anchored by Jordan, how do you pronounce the last name? Jordan Mailata, has been one of their star players on their offense. And defensively, the Rams showcased their greatness in the wild card round, achieving 9 sacks against the Minnesota Vikings. Linebacker Jared Verse is going to have one hell of a game, but I think the Eagles are going to come out on top that game. I just think Saquon Barkley is a force to be reckoned with, and I don't think that Rams defense can control it.
I mean, last time they played, I think part of it, that was the 300-yard game, right?
Yeah,
So,
it was like it was around there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I forgot to say, guys, but we have an extra player of the week pick this week. We have a fan call-in, so Dylan Hart, he has called in earlier to record his pick, so let's see what he had to say for us.
Hey everybody, I'm Dylan Hart, and for the wild card weekend MVP, games are still going on. Of the completed games, I'm going to say Josh Allen of the Bills. I mean, the guy just completely balled out. He's balled out this whole year, and he played against a great Broncos defense. Obviously, much new receiving core for him. No Diggs, no Gabe Davis, all that. And yeah, I mean, I think it was right now it's between him and Saquon, but maybe Baker Mayfield, depending on how tonight's game goes. But I'm gonna go Josh Allen. And unlike the Jets, who are probably about to bring back Rex Ryan, this is for you, Jason. The Bills are gonna own the AFC East, and Josh Allen's not only a wild card weekend MVP, but he's gonna be the NFL MVP. Thank you.
So I couldn't agree more with Dylan's take there. I know
What a guy.
Got a little shout out there.
So we're going to be moving from the NFL to college. There is one game left in this college football season. It's been a record-breaking season on all levels. We've seen some great freshmen play, which I know Jason's going to get into later. We've seen a lot of great – I think this is the first year the transfer portal is really set in for us. We saw – this national championship, we have 2 transfer quarterbacks playing in their first year on like $10 million checks for their new big-time team. So we're going to start us off with our national championship preview. Jason, who do you got?
I have the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think that they're going to clean up Notre Dame, and I think Jeremiah Smith is going to win game MVP. He had a very, very underwhelming game during the.
He was being, they had 3 guys playing.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not much you can do
there's not much you could do, but I think he's going to use that. I think he's going to come back strong. I think he's going to easily get 7+ receptions. I would call a 100-yard game and a touchdown from him. I think that he has a real shot of winning MVP this year.
Yeah. So Ohio State and Notre Dame, they're 6-2 all time in Ohio State's favor. Ohio State's looked like the best team in college football all year. I mean, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau are going to be in the Notre Dame backfield all game. Notre Dame's offensive tackle Anthony Knapp suffered a high ankle sprain and sat out in the second half of last week's game. He's going to set the national championship. Their backup let up 5 hurries and a sack to the quarterback. So with that being said, give me Notre Dame to win.
Wow.
Damn.
Sixth in the nation on scoring, 37 points per game. They haven't lost a game since NIU. They've beaten more top 25 teams this season than Ohio State. Jeremiah Love had over 1,000 yards this year, and I think if there's one way to get through Ohio State's defense, it's on the ground with Jeremiah Love. I think that his explosiveness is going to exploit the defense of Ohio State that has struggled with tackling all year. Also, their cornerbacks, Denzel Burke, I know he's an all-pro. I know he's going to be a first or second round pick this year. I still think on the other side of the ball of him, they can be exploited, even though these Notre Dame receivers are not known for being good. Really? I think Notre Dame's going to win this one 23-17. Game MVP is going to go to Riley Leonard. I think the dual threat ability is going to be the difference maker, and I think that Notre Dame is going to take down the evil that is the Ohio State University. Rob.
Yeah, I'd love to agree with you there. You know me, not a big Ohio State fan, but I don't see a world where they don't win the national championship this year. They've just dominated all postseason long. And in the one game that was close, they pulled through. Granted, it was due to the incompetence of Steve Sarkisian, but I digress. And yeah, Notre Dame, they're easy to root for, which I can't believe I'm saying, but their likability is only going to get them so far. Yeah, Ohio State, clearly a different team since they've played Michigan. They've just come out and put up 40 points on, I believe it was both Tennessee and Oregon. And the games just haven't really been close, like I said. And Will Howard, he's not thrown more than 1 interception per game, and I think that the Irish are going to have to force 2 to 3 turnovers in this matchup to even have a shot at winning this game. And moving on to MVP. Like I said last week, you had Jeremiah Smith get blanketed by the 3 Texas defensive backs. However, you still have to make up for Emeka Egbuka and Carnell Tate. So I think that Will Howard is going to spread the ball out to those 3 guys, and that, him spreading the ball out, that's going to get him his game MVP.
Yeah, solid picks there.
Thank you.
For me, I got the Ohio State University. I feel like both sides of the ball, they're just going to destroy Notre Dame. And my game MVP is going to be Jack Sawyer. Everyone should be keeping an eye out
Hate that guy.
He should be. Everyone should be keeping an eye out for him in the national championship. The Ohio State defense has been a force all season, but his 83-yard fumble return touchdown in the semifinals showed just how much of a clutch he can be. He's been dominating the line of scrimmage and making game-changing plays when it matters most. If he brings that same energy against Notre Dame, there's a good chance he'll be named MVP and cement maybe as one of the best defensive players in Buckeye history.
He's gonna have another. He's gonna need to have
A lot to
another
live up to.
83-yard fumble six to get MVP, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, you said he showed up when it mattered most. He didn't show up against Michigan, and that's what
That's for
matters
sure.
most
That's
in
for
this
sure.
matchup.
That's
I know
for
Ohio
sure.
State fans.
He had an
Yeah.
interception.
They're Ohio State. Yeah, when
Jack Sawyer was the
Davis
only-
Bourne blindly threw it to him. I
He
know
was
how,
the only
I
guy
was
who
at
showed
the
up.
game. I would say it was a lot of the kicker and Will Howard's.
there
fault that
are
game.
Ohio State fans that would much rather beat Michigan than win a national championship.
That's true.
I know Michigan
Especially after the past 4 years.
the same thing. So again, like player of the week, this is not our only take. Alden Dayton calling in as well to review his take. Well-known Ohio State fan, probably a bandwagon.
I can't wait to hear this one.
Here's his take as well.
Hello, my name is Alden Dayton, and this year I think the college football playoff winner is going to be Ohio State, and I think that they're going to start off hot in the beginning, and I think that once they have their foot on the gas, they're just not going to take it off, especially with their explosive players like Jeremiah Smith and Meke Buka. Their running back room is also, threats. And I think their defense is just going to, just stop this Notre Dame offense. Riley Leonard. I think Jack Sawyer and Caleb Downs are going to be a huge part of it. And I think the MVP is also going to go to Meke Buka because I think he's going to have a amazing game because I think that everyone's going to be so stuck on Jeremiah Smith and not going to realize who else they have.
Pretty similar analysis over here.
Yeah, I think so. We all pretty much agree. Jeremiah Smith, he's going to get triple teamed again. But I think
They're
that
gonna have to.
teams are going to have to know you can beat Ohio State without triple teaming him. We've seen it happen before, and it seems like when you triple team him, the other guys, he's not their only great receiver. You have Ibuka, you have Cordell Tate. They're both going to be relatively high draft picks this year, and I think they're just going to have to. Everyone on that defense going to have to step up. Benjamin Morrison, I think you can strongly leave him on an island with Jeremiah Smith, and he will beat Jeremiah Smith rep after rep. I think he is the top corner in this draft class coming up over, I know, our Will Johnson of Michigan. I think he's by far the best corner. I think he's going to lock up Jeremiah Smith this game. So now we're going to our final segment, made-up award ceremony.
Yeah.
Jason, you're going to start us off, Freshman Player of the Year.
Now, we've been talking a lot about the Ohio State Buckeye, Jeremiah Smith. We've been talking a lot how in the playoffs, people have had to triple team him to try and shut down this offense in Ohio State. So many hands on top. So I have Jeremiah Smith as the freshman of the year. He ended the season with 71 receptions, 1,227 yards, and 14 touchdowns. That is just unbelievable stats for a freshman wide receiver. He's like beating out the true freshman Ryan Williams, and really just cementing for me like the freshman MVP of the year.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Worst Player of the Year award, and I think this is the most obvious award of all time. DJ Uiagalelei, quarterback from Florida State. Horrible. Completion rate of just 54%. He'd thrown 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, with a Florida State 1-4 start. That was horrible. Starting off the year in Ireland, that was just a horrible choice by Florida State. You're taking a school known for partying across the world to just get blown out by the Fighting Irish on their home territory, pretty much. I don't know how many of you know this, but DJ Uiagalelei was drafted by the Dodgers in the 20th round of the MLB draft. So maybe he might need to switch it over. It seems like football's not working out for him.
Not for him, yeah.
I mean, he might get a high-paid salary at McDonald's, Burger King. There's going to be a little lottery for him because football, it's not working out for him. I'm interested to see what he does from here, though. What he does from here, though, Rob.
Think he goes to a fourth school?
No, I think he just goes
Calls it quits?
to fast food.
Is he entering the job portal?
Yep, Indeed.com.
All right, so I've got a pretty interesting one. Most draft stock fallen. This was a pretty interesting one. My pick is entertaining as well. I'm going Jalen Milroe. Still a little bit of a question mark as to whether or not he's entering the draft, especially after his subpar bowl game performance against Michigan. He had 192 yards, 50% completion rating, 1 interception, and 2 fumbles versus the Michigan Wolverines, who, at that point were 7-5. Michigan, they scored 16 of their 19 points in the first quarter. Those were gifted off of turnovers. They had 3 points the rest of the game that came in the very end, not at the very end, but in the fourth quarter. So by that logic, Milroe had 75% of the game to make any sort of a comeback. And for a little while, it looked like they had a shot at coming down. Remember, they marched down the field towards the end of the second half. But they did nothing against a team that was playing all their backups. I mean, what are we doing? Yes, Crimson Tide, they had a chance to win it in the closing minutes, but they turned the ball over. They turned it over on downs after driving down to the Michigan 15, which is where I was getting at. And, I mean, who knows how bad it would have gotten if they had Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Will Johnson. I know Will Johnson's been hurt for a while. He probably took the game off just to keep his stock high, but it's going to be interesting to see how Milroe performs.
I think Carson Beck lost more draft stock. I think.
Yeah, but we know he's going to Miami for this next year, so he's got a chance. He's got a shot at
Milroe's staying in the draft 100%. But
exactly. So
Carson Beck had a good year, he would have absolutely. If he had stayed healthy, had a good year, he would have absolutely declared for the draft.
Yeah, but now you got Carson Beck going to the ACC. I mean, we saw how Kyle McCord did in the ACC. I'm sure he's going to do just fine. Even better, he's going to get his stock all the way back up to where it was.
I don't think he will be a first-round pick. So we'll wrap us up. Who had the best season and rose their draft stock the most?
Yeah, most draft stock risen. Just like Rob mentioned, I'm going to go with Kyle McCord.
What a guy.
From Syracuse. After transferring from Ohio State, McCord led Syracuse to a Holiday Bowl victory, showcasing a 66% completion rate and leading the FBS with 4,779 passing yards. His quick release and deep ball accuracy have caught scouts' attention, positioning him as a potential mid-round pick.
Cam Ward was supposed to be a 4th-round pick in last year's draft, a 4th-round pick coming into this year. Transfers, like Jaden Daniels did, we saw last year, he is now the projected 1st overall pick. Not the most draft stock risen. Tyler Warren, supposed to be a mid-round pick, now is a bona fide 1st-round pick. But Kyle McCord, the guy who's going to be a middle 5th.
You should have seen it. You should have seen him before. He didn't play well at Ohio State. I don't think he would even.
We know.
We
beat him.
Oh yeah.
But Cam Ward is now the 1st overall pick after being a day 3 pick projectedly last year and coming into this year.
Hey, that's your pick.
I think what he's getting at is that Cam Ward, people had high expectations for him, at least more so than they did for Kyle McCord. I'm not trying to defend that blasphemy of a pick over there, but Kyle McCord, everybody wrote this dude off, or everyone wrote him off. So I mean, you got to respect the dude for at least making a comeback.
No, so everyone expected Cam Ward. Everyone expected Cam Ward to be the best quarterback.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to defend what he's saying over here.
You don't have to defend him. Cam Ward was by far had the best year in college football.
Look at him. He's not trying to defend himself. He's staring off into space over here. He's just taking it. He's taking
really,
like a good boy.
Yeah.
So
that's probably a good way to end it right there.
That is going to wrap us up for season 4, episode 9. We'll see how well our takes do with the divisional round coming out and the national championship coming up too. So I'm Henry Lapin, Jason Generalis, Rob Frangione, and Will Sexton. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.